Welcome everybody, my name is Rainer. This is my channel Rainier Books. Today a tech video from this channel. I was looking for tech videos the last couple of days. I was a little bit uneasy because I couldn't find the right one to grab, to steal and to do here on my channel. So I think that over the course of the next couple of weeks I'm going to revive tags that have been on Booktube a couple of years ago, before I joined at least, because I joined in May this year, and this tag that I'm doing today is, I think, 4 years old, as far as I've seen it. This has been created by Marie Berg, or Marie Berg. It sounds pretty Swedish, the name, looks pretty Swedish. So it might be Marie Berg, or it's Marie Berg. And this is called the New York Times by the book tag. First question, but before the intro. First question, ladies and gentlemen, is what book is on your nightstand right now? Honestly, I don't read, because I think nightstand suggests that you read something in bed. In bed, I only read Kindle stuff on my, that means electronic books. But I read, usually I don't read in bed right now. I'm more listening and falling asleep with podcasts. So, but I read shortly before going to bed. And last night, actually, I read Leave the World Behind by Ruman Alam, which was shortlisted for the National Book Award this year in the United States. A novel about a family going on vacation, a white family with 2 kids going on vacation to Long Island, to a remote part of Long Island, meeting a black couple who owns the house that they actually rent. And then there's a power cut over the eastern United States, and bad things are going to happen. No spoilers. But this is what I'm reading right now. And I also read The 392 by Ashley Hickson-Lovence, who is actually just finished his second novel, as far as I understand, and who's doing his PhD. So these 2 books are on the line for this week. When I read in bed, when I would read in bed, I currently have as an ebook still, but I don't get any further right now, The Future's History by Masha Gessen, about how totalitarianism regained power in Russia. The second question, what was the last truly great book that you've read? Ooh, this is a very difficult question, because if I say something now, all the books that I read after that are not great books. I read really good books in the last months, but I think a great book, the last great book that I've read was Vanessa Versaca's The Great Offshore Ground, which I think is probably one of the best American novels of 2020. The history, the story of the 2 sisters, Livy and Cheyenne, and their quest throughout the whole United States, along the coast up to Alaska, and through the whole country, in search for the future of their lives, and in search of their past as well. This is a great novel. I think that's a great novel that I've read this year so far. If you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would you want to know? I love that question, because it gives you so much possibilities. I can choose someone that I would love to meet and ask him or her all the questions. After a little while of thinking about who would I like to meet, and to ask a couple of questions, this is not a writer of fiction, although he has written a lot of fiction, but not in the form of books, but in the form of songs. But since he has written a beautiful autobiography a couple of years ago, I would definitely say I would love to meet Bruce Springsteen. This is his autobiography, Born to Run, a great, great book about his life and about his career. And, well, I would like to talk with him about his songs, about so many songs that mean so much to me. Songs like Thunder Road, and the symbolism, the metaphors in that songs, and how they came up for him, and how he always still manages to write about things that all of us can feel and do feel actually Although, like he once said in one of his songs, he's a rich man in a poor man's. Sometimes he's a rich man in a poor man's clothes. So Bruce Springsteen would be the guy to meet for me. What books might we be surprised to find on your shelves? Oh my God, a little secret to unravel here. Is that the question, to unravel secrets? I don't know if you would be surprised by looking at my shelves by finding certain kinds of books. I don't think so, actually. Give me a second. Well, maybe some of you would be surprised. I'm not surprised at all, of course, to find some autobiographies of sports personalities. Since I'm very interested in women's soccer or women's football, and have written and talked with a lot of players over the years, you would find the autobiography of Kelly Smith, a great British player, English player. You would find Hope Solo's autobiography there. You also would find another sports guy, we're staying in the field of autobiographies here, with Bruce Springsteen as the guy I would like to meet. And another guy that I would love to meet and talk with him would be, but also maybe you would be surprised to find his autobiography on my shelves. And this is The Outsider. That's Jimmy Connors. To me, the greatest tennis player of all time. So I really love Jimmy Connors and his story. I haven't read the autobiography of him. I started reading it a few years ago. It has been there for a couple of years. But I haven't read it yet, so maybe I give it a try over the Christmas holidays, which will be quite long for me. I will be off work for 3 weeks and isolate myself, basically, here with my daughter, who I live with, and we'll see. There's going to be a lot of reading over that period. 5. How do you organize your personal library? There is no organization in my personal library. I will move to another flat, to another apartment, very probably. I haven't signed the contract yet, but probably I will move by the end of April, which will be a little bit bigger than this one here. And I have actually plans to get new IKEA bookshelves and to place all my books there. And then there will probably be an alphabetical order for fiction, and I will have a fiction and a non-fiction part on those shelves, and I think that'll be it. Autobiographies will probably be non-fiction. Well, what book have you always meant to read and haven't gotten around yet? Anything you feel embarrassed never to have read? Of course, there are things that I never have read, and I'm not the classic kind of guy. So there are many classics that I should read of world literature. Dostoevsky, of course, Crime and Punishment is something that everybody has to read. I understand that, but I haven't read it yet. I haven't read novels like Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert, or there are a couple of titles, even by Hemingway. I haven't read For Whom the Bell Tolls. So there are a lot of classics that I haven't read, and those would be the books that I feel a little bit embarrassed. I haven't actually read that Zauberberg, which I understand is called The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann, one of the greatest German authors ever. So there are a couple of books that make me quite embarrassed if you would ask me, have you read this and that? Disappointing, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel you are supposed to like but you didn't? Do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? The last book I put down without finishing was Real Life by Brandon Taylor, because I thought it was boring. And I understand that this was a book that divided Booktube in those who absolutely admired, who absolutely loved it and have the greatest understanding for you guys. But there was also a part where I belonged to that really thought Real Life was really boring. So I belong to that side and did not finish the book. I read about 80, 90, 100 pages probably. So I did not finish it. But a great book that I didn't, overrated, disappointing, just not good, was for me Milkman by Anna Burns, the winner of the Booker Prize in 2018. Because I also did not finish this one because it didn't get to me. And I think if the forum really makes a work of literature so difficult to get into for a lot of people, and for me in that case, then it's really not that good as other people may say it is. So that happened to me with Milkman, and I think that this book has a very special form. It has no character names. It's written in one block almost, as far as I remember, and it's very, very different from everything else, which is not negative. To be different, of course not, usually not. But if it's so difficult to get into that, to jump into the book and to stay there for a couple of hours, because that's what we do when we read, don't we? Then question number 8. What kind of stories are you drawn to? Any you stay clear of? I love stories with people who live sort of the normal kind of life. Stories about people that I can identify with. Stories of working class, where I come from, although not really, but yeah, I could explain that in another video. Stories of outsiders, of diversity, are with characters, diverse characters, with strong characters, of course. And stories like just like Leave the World Behind or The 392, two reads that I do right now as buddy reads with Courtney Farrader and with Ellie from Ellie's Little Library right now. And both stories of those books I really like, without having said that the books are 5-star books. I wouldn't say that, but they are really good reads, and you get drawn into that. So a story like The 392, for example, where you have a bunch of passengers on a bus in London, and everyone is telling his own story, and this is a 36 minutes ride. It's a very special form, isn't it? And it's only 36 minutes. The 180 pages cover 36 minutes, and we still don't know where it's heading. So that's a story that I like. This is when there's a certain kind of mystery behind it, not necessarily a thriller, but a mystery or something to learn from history. When I remember Jacqueline Woodson's Red at the Bone, which teaches us a lot, taught me a lot as a non-American about American history. Yeah. Number 9. If you could require the president to read one book, what would it be? The president to read one book, what would it be? I mean, we're still in December, and December 10, and Donald Trump is still the president of the United States, and my American friends will hopefully forgive me. I don't think that the president is capable of reading any book, maybe something like comics by Disney comics with Donald Duck and Scrooge when he's eating his hamburgers, but I don't see him reading books. But if he could read one book very quickly, I would. There's one book that I could actually force Donald Trump to read, because he's the president right now. I would recommend to read Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, where you would learn how simple people, how the usual people who are the majority, the 99%, as Bernie Sanders would say, have lived their lives in the history of the United States. So Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States, a book that I can recommend to anyone out there. I haven't read it all. I have read like 1/3 of it, and it's still in progress reading it. I will pick it up soon again. Final question is, what do you plan to read next? Well, that's an easy question. I have still some books to finish here. And so these are the ones that I have to finish next. And this is Richard Ford, A Piece of My Heart, that I have to finish. I have to finish The Twilight of Democracy by Anne Applebaum, The Seductive Lure of Totalitarianism. And I have to finish Masha Gessen's The Future is History, which I have started. And I will read Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi together with Karen Evans. My fifth buddy read actually this year. So these are the books I'm going to read in the near future and before Christmas, I guess. So finally, that was the tag. And now I have to tag some of my wonderful booktuber friends or colleagues. maybe, hopefully I tag the right people now so that you haven't done this tag before. So I tag Karen Evans. I tag Courtney Farada. I tag Ellie's Little Library. And I tag Jack, the Rambling Raconteur. I hope you haven't done this tag before, so you can do it. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody, and I see you soon on Sunday by the latest with another edition of a weekly wrap-up. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.